Hey guys, Enduro guys, IA here. Just wanted to talk about my 2008 Kawasaki Versys 650. Why did I buy it? Well, I have a 250 Rally, and I've had bigger adventure bikes in the past where I probably should have kept them in all reality. Triumph Tiger 800 XCX was awesome. R1200 wasn't necessarily the biggest fan because it wasn't a GSA, and it was actually a lowered version. Come to find out, with me being so tall, lowered version is not necessarily my friend. Um, but I've been kind of contemplating getting another bike for my stable here because the 250 is fun, but it's only fun for so long when you have to commute to the trails and it's an hour. And if it's a windy day on a 250, you're not even hitting full speed. Even with like a shortened front sprocket to get up to speed, that wind just kills your top end. So I said, hey, I need to get another adventure bike. So adventure sport touring. This one's not going to be a crazy off-road adventure bike. Um, but my options were kind of looking at like CV500X, Honda NC700X, the Versys 650. I didn't really want a KLR because as much as I love KLRs, they're single cylinder and they're not a fun highway bike either. Not necessarily saying the highway is fun, but you have to use some of those roads to get to where you need to be. And when bike is just vibrating like crazy, it's not always fun. Triumphs were out of the question. The old Tiger 800s, because they still have a pretty high resale value, so that was kind of out of the question. I had contemplated a F800 GS. I really like the GS, but they're expensive once again, and my budget was probably, I was trying to keep it under like $3,500 because you can pick up secondhand CB500Xs for pretty cheap. Same with the NC700X. I had worked with a couple of Honda dealerships that had sold them. I never really got to ride one, but I had came across one. It's about 100 miles away at a dealer called World of Power Sports. They've never worked with them on any of my bikes, but they had this NC700 that I had saw on Craigslist like a month in the past, and a guy had put like an SW Motec skid plate, had engine guards, it had I can't think of the name exhaust, but it has two pipes coming off of it, not a toast, but I can't remember the name of it. So it had an off-road skid plate, it had the same like Barkbuster Storm hand guards. I think it had TKC 80s on it too, which was pretty impressive because not many people actually rode the NC700X off-road. It was a really underrated bike, a little goofy the way the storage was set up on them, but it had the original Honda side cases, and it had a top box, and it had a different seat. But my reasoning was I have such a good relationship with the dealership in town that I can either have them find me something, or I can just go and get whatever they have. So that was I kind of want to go and get this NC700, but if I get there in person and it's not as great as I think it is, do I want to, go all the way back home and have to do it over again? And no, I really don't want to. But I've done that. But so I looked at a demo CV500X. It was just a little too much money that I wanted to spend at the time. Although I do have a loan on this, but it's a really cheap loan where I told myself, hey, I'm just going to pay it off in a year and a half. No big deal. I don't like fronting a ton of cash on bikes because it takes away from the things I want to get done to them, and then I can pay them off. So that's my reasoning behind it. It may be stupid, it may not be. So NC700, chalk that one out. Not going to happen. Dealership that I bought this one at Brenny's. They had a couple of NC 700s. They weren't a bad deal, but they didn't have anything on them. They didn't have handguards, no skid plate, or bone stock. So kind of looked at SW Motec, looking at the price of off-road parts before I buy a bike, because I don't want to, certain bikes you get into, the price of them, price of the off-road parts jumps up, skyrockets. Like Touratech, SW Motec, some of those parts for those bikes just get ungodly expensive, and I can pay it, but I don't really want to. So I was looking, they had three 07 to 09, or no, 08 to 09. Yeah, 08 to 09 Kawasaki Versys 650s, I should say. And they had one DL 1000, but I really wasn't trying to get 1000 because they get heavier. And the 650 engine has plenty of power. They use these engines in flat track. They use it in the Vulcan 650, the Versys 650, the Ninja 650. So it's kind of a cross-platform engine that performs really well. And they last for a long time. So they had this one, which is a 2008. They had a green one, which I think was a 2009. And they had a blue one. I can't remember the year, but the blue one had sold like a week after I bought my red one. They still have the green one, which is still a good deal, but it had had Michelin Road 3s all the way around on the front and rear. And this one was the cheapest. I don't necessarily like going for the cheapest bike, but this one was just too good of a deal to pass up. So this one is a 2008. All of the stuff you see on it, besides the handguards, did not come with this bike. It has, when I got it, it had 7,800 miles, and it was a one-owner bike. So, of course, I'm like, one-owner bike, 7,800 miles, you know, the guy barely rode it, which I know the reason why, but I'll get into that in a minute. So there's plenty of room for accessories with that kind of price range, where you can get a long life out of this bike and have plenty of room for all the parts you want. Now this bike had been dropped at least once, because on the case it's sheared from what looks like pavement, I would imagine. There's a little bit on the fairing, the leverage just a little tweaked, and the fork I had to cover up just a little bit. So with some automotive touch-up paint, I've gotten very good at touching bikes up over the years. So I get this within, I don't know, not even a week of owning it. I've got these T-Rex Racing engine guard skid plate combo, and to me it just made sense. It was like 300 and some for the combo, and it was a relatively easy install, and the skid plate itself is very beefy. Now I could have went with the SW Motec route, but the coverage is what I was looking for. I like rally style guards that stretch up all the way around, because that offers by far the most protection, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a little bulky and, you know, things can get in the way, but to me that just, it is what it is. And then I put some DR650 foot pegs that I robbed off my KLR, so that didn't cost me anything. I told them, hey, I'll buy this bike if you throw on these handguards from another bike. So I got a set of Barkbuster Storms thrown into it, which for me, that's about what, $110 on Revzilla, something like that. It had a GV windshield on it, but with the GV windshield and the handguards, it did not fit. You know, I mean, you probably could have made it work, but your turning radius is short, and I don't really need the windshield. It's more, I need the protection on the handguards, because I do drop my bikes not so gracefully a lot of the time, and the worst thing the thing that sucks the most is you break a lever and you're kind of hosed, because you're gonna have to jerry rig something to either work your brake or you're gonna have to work your clutch. So handguards are more important to me than a windshield. I can get a windshield for cheap later on, not worried about it now. So did all that, then I put aluminum brackets for the fries. You know, I'm going on Facebook groups and looking what people did. Mine are not as clean as what other people did. They're very crude. I'm not the best fabricator when it comes to those things. I'm great with working on the bike, great installing things. I've never had an issue with that. But fabricating my own parts is not super easy for me because I just never was taught any kind of fabrication skills. I didn't take any welding classes. Don't remember much from shop class. It was so many years ago at this point, but I'm good with tools, so I made it work. A little crude, but it's gonna get the job done, especially with my Shinko tire I put here and Shinko on the rear. And then the next thing I did was I put on a OEM Kawasaki new old stock rack that I found on eBay. I'm gonna run soft luggage. I've ran hard luggage in the past, and the only problem with hard luggage is, yeah, you can beat it with a hammer to form it back, but as soon as that bag gets ripped off or something, you're just kind of hosed. So soft bags for a long trip, adventure trip, saves on some weight. Yeah, aluminum cases are light, but they're also expensive. So I'm gonna get probably a set of Nelson rigs or the new Rocky Mountain ATV tusk bags, because they're about 150 bucks. The Nelson rigs are, the adventure bags, they're retail 180, but you can pick them up for 130 on Amazon, so long as you can get stuff from Amazon still. So I might do a seat eventually. I've been kind of checking out the used market for a seat, because the seat's $460, $500 between a Sargent or a Corbin, and that's a lot to spend just on a seat. The seat's not uncomfortable, it's just the way it's shaped is my problem. Yeah, you can do a seat mod to raise it up, but then some people say they have issues with their seat pressing down and not going into place, and don't really want to deal with that, especially on a trail. If you're frustrated, you're stuck, your seat pops up, or you got to do something, you got to pull a fuse, change a fuse, got to put the seat back down, it's not popping into place, it just adds frustration. So I'd rather just have something built for the bike. And then this does have a USB charger that someone else had done that's already up, taped to the other handlebar wires, which I'm cool with. So backstory on this bike, one owner bike. I know the nephew of the guy who owned it. Very nice guy, the nephew is. His name's Matt, and he's in the Navy, and his uncle owned this machine, and I saw the registration from his uncle under the seat still, and his uncle had passed away of cancer. The guy had very good taste because he put the Michelin Pilot Road 3s on the front and the old style Road 2 on the back, which makes sense because it's a 2008. So the Road 2 wasn't necessarily around anymore. Just now you're on like the Road 4s and 5s, I think. So the front still got plenty of life. I may keep that front tire for another long distance ride in the rear tire, but I also might sell the front just to kind of recoup some money from getting a set of Shinkos. They're not that expensive tires, but at the end of the day, it's still 205 bucks. And if I can make 60 bucks off a used front tire, that, you know, lowers your costs. So that is kind of the reasoning why I bought the 2008 Kawasaki Versys 650.